If you feel stuck, it's probably because you've been married to some kind of outdated version or identity of yourself. And it's time to divorce that shit. It's time to let it go and move on and realize that you are not what you've been told. You are not what you've been led to believe. You are not what your parents say about you, what your friends say about you, what the world says about you, what social media says. None of that is who you are. And when you realize this, you understand that being free, liberation, is not something that you can get. It is something that you inherently are. What I mean by this is when you move past the level of the mind, picture this, picture like you think you're stuck, but what if you're not actually stuck? What if your awareness has been like concentrated on the level of the mind, which is full of lies and BS and like all this stuff that doesn't even really make sense? And if you would just shift your awareness to the level of the heart, which is actually what sees reality, then you would know that, hey, I'm not stuck. I've never been stuck. I've always been free. I've always been me. Being me is being free. I am inherently liberated just by my authenticity. Like, this is who I am. You'll recognize that you weren't actually stuck. It was just you believing these lies, and it was like you were asleep. But now you're awake. That's actually what awakening is all about, by the way. It's seeing what is. You're not getting anything. You're not attaining some kind of status, like a spiritual status of enlightenment. No, you're letting go of all the BS that has been blocking the truth of your being. So let it go. Like, who cares? And for me, like, look, for me, my biggest transformation came when, like, I had a lot of programming and indoctrination and religious conditioning, and a lot of that was super negative and disempowering, and it had to do with me being like inherently unworthy and sinful and separated from God, and there was this focus on obedience and like behavior and performance and all of that. So that's what created my sense of self, so the ego is not a sense of self, it's a false sense of self. It's any kind of identification that comes from the level of the mind. It's a thought, it's an idea, it's a belief that you buy into, and you believe that this is what you are. And that's why I say, like, the journey of life is letting go of who you think you are and discovering who you really are. Who you think you are, obviously, is on the level of the mind, but who you really are is on the level of the heart and its direct experience. That's why when I let go of my previous beliefs and the tradition that I was brought up in, when I let go of all of that and I move forward in life and I started to see things differently, one of the things I let go of was belief, because I realized that belief is very interesting because it holds you down to like these certain patterns, and it keeps you in this mentality of thinking that this is the way things are and like there's no other way around it. And there tends to be a lot of emotion that's attached to certain beliefs, especially like in religion with beliefs about who you are. So, you could think if you were told that you are inherently unworthy and that something has to happen, like you need to be saved in order to be like whole or complete or whatever. If you believe that, then the fear is that, okay, if this doesn't happen, like if I don't go through the process, if I don't accept this or believe in this particular doctrine, then what's going to happen to me? So there's this fear and anxiety that revolves around this false sense of self, this identity that was given to you, that you accepted, that you believed, and you were maybe you were born into it or you were persuaded into it. It doesn't matter. This became your subconscious programming, and now all of a sudden it's running your life. And what's interesting is the subconscious mind. So let me say it like this. For the first 7 years of our lives, typically is when we undergo the most amount of subconscious programming. And then after the age of 7, the subconscious mind runs our lives like 95% of the time. Okay. So this is why this stuff is so important. Even after I moved past all of these different indoctrinations and these dogmas about me being like a sinner and me being all of these negative things, like when I realized it wasn't true, the subconscious programming was still there because it's deeply rooted with these strong emotions that really hold it down. So what I had to do was I had to keep going back to this awareness. I had to keep realizing that, okay, I'm being told that there's something wrong with me. I'm being told that I'm a sinner in need of a savior. I'm stuck. I'm lost. I'm separated from some deity in the heavens. And what I didn't realize at the time was because I was believing in all of these things that they were telling me, my belief was actually creating these different circumstances and experiences in my life that were confirming that belief, because that's the way the mind works. If you believe something, you'll keep seeing it, you'll keep experiencing it, and it's just reflecting the belief. It's not actually necessarily true. It's just what you believe, and your mind is creating this subjective reality, and that's how the programming really flourishes. But the moment you see it for what it is, a belief, then you recognize that you are not that belief. And you can change your belief. And when you change your belief, you step into a new identity, you step into a new way of being, you step into a new reality, and you rewrite the script of your life. You reprogram your subconscious mind. And the best way to do this is through repetition. And either way, like that's why like whether you're or I'll say it like this. So like with the repetition, when I was growing up in church, like there was all these different things that were constantly being said to me. Either I was hearing the pastor or the priest say it during the services, or I was hearing it from different like teachers or just people around me. Because that's the thing, like when you're born into communities like this, it's like everyone that you know, for the most part, all believes the same stuff. And most of them can't tell you why they believe this, except this is what the book says, or this is what the pastor says. But they all just kind of believe the same thing. It's like this energetic quantum hive mind thing going on. So anyway, but what I noticed was there was constant repetition. And so every Sunday, I would hear the same things about myself, and there was these little key words that my mind would just kind of like attach to, and this was just like solidifying the programming. And if you go through years of that, that's going to create a huge, strong system of conditioning, and that's exactly what it did. So the way you actually reprogram what has been programmed is through repetition. Again, it's through recognizing the pattern first and foremost, and then applying some kind of new belief, some kind of reframe. And so, like, for example, if you feel like you're inherently unworthy, right? And so anytime something comes up, and like I said, it's something that you were programmed with in the first 7 years of your life. So it's been something that's been like with you your entire life since then, because the subconscious mind controls our lives 95% of the time, or something like that. So if this is the case, then what's going to happen is you're going to have this mentality of, I really need to prove my worth. And this is going to manifest, this is going to express itself primarily in relationships. And that's going to keep repeating itself. And you're going to be looking for worth in other people. And again, you're going to be trying to prove that you are worthy, because deep down, you're going to believe that you're really not worthy. So therefore, you have to prove to others, because there's that separation, there's that disconnect. But what if you reframe? So let's say you understand that all these things that you've been told and programmed with are not true. They're just thoughts, they're just beliefs, and you let them go. But there's still that root there, and there's still that deep gut feeling that arises in certain situations, in certain circumstances, when you're around certain people or whatever. So the technique, the practice is The moment you notice that there's that thought again, and it's, I need to prove my worth, you stop, and instead of just letting it do its thing and instead of allowing it to control you, you say, no, the question is, and you can reframe it with a question if you want to, but you say the question is, who said I was unworthy to begin with? And then you just stop and you almost like treat it like it's a separate voice, like it's someone that's living in your head, just talking, mental chatter all the time, the voice in your head. You literally treat it like it's this separate entity, because really it's not you, okay? And that's one of the most profound discoveries, I think, on the journey of life, is to see that you are not the voice in your head. You have a voice, or you have the mental chatter thing going on, you have thoughts, but it is not who you are. So you treat it like it's something that is separate from yourself. And when this happens, then you have the opportunity to either listen to it or ignore it, or you can respond to it. And the way you actually reprogram, think of it more as like an algorithm, okay? So the way you reprogram, the way you change the algorithm is by feeding it new information time and time again. And so you stop, you pause, you become aware of it. This is awesome. This is a huge step. I have the thought. Here's the thought, but this is not who I am. And then you respond to the voice that says you need to prove your worth and you need to really show them that you're enough. And you say, well, who are you? And who said that I am not enough? Who said that I am unworthy? Who said that I am sinful? Oh, someone's interpretation of an ancient book? No thanks. I think that's a bunch of whatever. And you toss it out. And every time that happens, you just pause, you highlight it. That's awareness. This is like, the first step. It's key. You call it out and you respond to it. You do that each and every time. And on top of this, affirmations are great as well. If you want to meditate on certain affirmations, this is incredible. And what you'll notice is the more you do this, the more it will literally change the way you think. It will change these neural pathways in your brain. You'll start to feel differently because you're thinking differently. And then most importantly, after this, you'll start to speak differently. You'll start to speak differently about yourself, about others, about everything. And slowly but surely, you will start to shift into this brand new reality that you are creating, because everything is mind, everything is consciousness, and you are creating your reality by your thoughts, by your feelings, and by your words. So this becomes this new programming. And what's interesting about this new programming is that you'll notice that it's natural. It feels true. There's this resonance, there's this coherence, there's this alignment. And it's like, yeah, I'm living in harmony with life and I feel connected. One of the key things I think with this whole process of doing the subconscious reprogramming and making that inner shift is noticing how you feel in your body when you start to make the shift. If you feel better, if you feel more aligned, if you feel more connected, if you feel more grounded, then absolutely keep going. This is a sign from the universe that you are actually walking in alignment with your authentic self. And then what you'll start noticing is synchronicity. Synchronicities will start appearing, and the whole purpose of synchronicities most of the time is to show you that, hey, this new way of being that you're living from is what you need to keep this up. This is going to keep bringing things into your life that you want to experience. This is going to lead to more love, more peace, more joy, more fulfillment, more abundance. All these things are going to start naturally flowing into your life because of the frequency that you're putting off. So these synchronicities, these signs, these certain numbers and symbols, whatever it is, these are external guides that are reflecting back to you your inner state of being and the wholeness that you're manifesting. And the wholeness that you're manifesting is the truth of who you are. So you didn't do anything to attain that wholeness. You didn't say a prayer and God gave you the wholeness. He didn't rain it down from heaven or something. No, this wholeness is the truth of who you are. It's always been there. You have just uncovered it by shifting from this awareness of living from the limited egoic mind, which says I'm stuck and I'll never make it and all these different negative, disempowering things, to the openness of the heart. And now you're living from the truth of your authentic self. You're living liberated. You're living totally connected and grounded, like I said. And now you're in the flow. Now you're in the Tao. You're beyond any kind of egoic limitation. You're beyond the small self. And you realize you were never actually stuck. You just were believing something that isn't true. And now you've divorced this old mentality, this old identity that was never yours to begin with. It was a false identity. It was an egoic structure that was built upon layers of indoctrination and conditioning and programming and a bunch of BS. And now you're free. You're free to be yourself. And I promise you, there is nothing more fulfilling than being yourself and living from your true nature. And everything else starts to align, and there's nothing like it. So I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please leave a thumbs up at the bottom of the screen and be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.